Welcome back to the channel, guys. So last video we saw a list of the universities that are waiving off GRE for 2023 admission cycle. Now this is where things start getting a bit confusing, because let's imagine a university is keeping GRE optional. Now the question is, if you have already taken GRE, should you submit your score or not? So that is what we are going to cover in this video. And I'm also going to look into case studies from my clients, and we will see what they did with their GRE scores and what kind of admits they got after it. Okay, so make sure you keep watching until the end, because I'm going to cover all these things in this video. Alright, so let's just discuss whether to submit your GRE score or not if the university is keeping the GRE requirement optional. Now this is not a trivial question, because forwarding an official GRE score report to a university can cost up to $27. Now let's imagine you're applying to 10 universities, which means it's a cost of $250 to $270 right there, right? So it's not a non-trivial cost, and if there is a way to figure out whether it makes sense to send the score to this university or not, then maybe you can potentially save few bucks, right? So what I'm going to do is, I have a sort of a thumb rule to approach this question. Of course, there's no black and white answer to it, but I'm going to share my approach on how I discuss it with my clients, and hopefully that can help you. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to look into 4 categories of GRE scores, and then I'm going to give you my recommendation what to do if you fall into one of those categories. So the first category is, if let's say your GRE score is 330 or more, okay? Exceptional GRE score, and in this case I feel you must send your GRE scores, obviously, right? Because it's no longer a score, it has now become an X factor in your profile. It's going to help you differentiate from your fellow applicants and definitely grabs the attention from the admission committee. So it's a big plus to your profile. You should definitely send the GRE scores in this case. In fact, you should prefer universities which are keeping GRE mandatory so that you can fully leverage it. Now let's look at the second category, which is, let's say the GRE score is 320 plus, or your Quant score is 165 plus. In this case also, I think you should send the GRE scores, because as most of the engineering programs or STEM science kind of courses that we are talking about, they do value Quant scores more. And if it's high enough, like 165 is good enough, then I think it will play to your benefit to send the scores. So in this case also, my recommendation is send the score. Now let's look at the third category, which is, let's say your GRE score falls between 310 to 320, or your Quant score is somewhere between 160 to 165. This is the gray zone. I leave it entirely up to you, because you can play it either way. This is an average-ish score. It's not going to give you much advantage, but it's not going to look bad either. So it's up to you. Like, if you're keen for some reason, or like, other aspects of your profile are not that great, then you can send this and see how it plays out for you. So this is the gray zone, completely up to you. Now let's look at the fourth zone, which is, let's say your GRE score is less than 310 or less than 160 in Quant. In this case, I suggest do not send your scores, because it's not going to add any value. Plus, it might put you in a bad light in front of the application committee. So I don't think it helps. Your GRE score is not going to help you in this case. So I feel like it's better to skip sending the GRE score and save some money in this case. So those are the 4 major categories, and this is to maybe help you take a quick decision about this question. Of course, it depends on many other factors, like how strong or weak other components of your profile are, and whether this score will help you or not. So of course, try to see it in the holistic big picture scenario. But my quick advice, if you ask me, this is the rule that I follow. Now let's look at 2 case studies. So I had client number 1 whose GRE score was 314, but Quant score was only 160. So in that case, he chose not to send his score because other aspect of his profile, he was happy with it. And he got into schools like Cornell Tech, MEng and CS, Duke MNGen CS, which had kept GRE optional, and CU Boulder CS. So he chose not to send his GRE score and still bagged these good admits, right? Top admits, in fact. Now let's look at another candidate, client number 2. His score was also 314, but his quant score was 166. He was happy with it, so he decided to send his scores everywhere. And the admits he got was UIU CMCS program, CMU MS in Software Engineering, UT Austin Software in Engineering, and NYU MS in CS. So he also bagged some exceptional admits even though he sent the GRE score of 314. So these two examples can maybe give you a perspective on it's less about the overall GRE score but more about the quant scores also, and you can take different approaches based on that. So hopefully this helps solve your dilemma to some extent, but of course if you have questions or if you found the advice helpful, then please leave a comment below, because it helps us understand what kind of content to keep producing for you guys. Okay, so do leave a comment and give us feedback. Thank you, and I will see you next time.